UFOs. The surprising story. April 14, 1865, President Lincoln confessed to General Ulysses S. Grant, a future president himself, of intense, recurring premonitions. UFO historians, however, believe extraterrestrials were communicating with Lincoln through his dreams.
Abraham Lincoln was a complex character who did seem to have a degree of belief in the power of dreams and sometimes precognitive dreams, premonitions, visions. It's widely reported that he had at least one, maybe more, visions of his own death. And this may have given, like many people who have visions, may have given him a sense of destiny. Whether Lincoln's dreams and visions and premonitions had a role in this, had a role in perhaps shaping the destiny of the United States and the outcome of the Civil War or not, I don't know. But he seems to have believed in a lot of that.
A week after winning the war with the South and fulfilling his destiny, Abraham Lincoln was assassinated. August 1st, 1907, on Long Island, New York. A spectacular UFO sighting occurred, with dozens witnessing the bizarre spectacle. What's more, it happened at the home of none other than President Teddy Roosevelt.
There was a UFO incident in 1907 which involved President Theodore Roosevelt, and the sighting happened over his residence at Oyster Bay in New York.
You've got a very interesting period in the history of our country, and you've got a lot of things going on with foreign adversaries. And so what was it that we were seeing, and was there a need to create a cover for some more covert operations that were going on to try to figure out what potentially could be flying in our airspace?
As Roosevelt worked on a crucial address to Congress on America's influence overseas, neighbors reported seeing a huge ball of light hovering in the air for over 2 hours.
Lots of witnesses, huge, bright light hovering a few hundred feet above the ground. Really spectacular, completely unexplained.
Were these incidents somehow linked?
We needed to be that world power. Was that because of UFOs? I think the jury could go either way on that.
Many believe that this had a profound effect on him, and that perhaps it opened his eyes and opened his mind to the fact that there might be higher powers at work. And what do you do if confronted by perhaps something more powerful than yourself? You build up your own military. And many believe that what transpired a few months later, when particularly on the naval side, Roosevelt decided to massively expand the military might of the United States. People believe that there is a connection between that and this UFO sighting that in some way may have shaped Roosevelt's worldview.
In the end, Roosevelt's speech laid out a plan to modernize American forces, turn Pearl Harbor into a world-class naval base, and become the world's #1 superpower. After the December 7, 1941 surprise attack on Pearl Harbor, Southern Californians were on edge due to their proximity to Japan. Many were convinced they were likely to be attacked next. February 25, 1942, only 3 months after Pearl Harbor, a truly unexplainable event sent Los Angeles into a nightmarish frenzy.
The unidentified object moved slowly down the Pacific coast from Santa Monica and disappeared south of Long Beach. Army officials declined to comment.
The invader appeared as an immense saucer-shaped craft, or Foo Fighter. as UFOs were regularly called at the time.
Just a few weeks after Pearl Harbor, all this came to a head in something called the Battle of Los Angeles. And sure enough, something appeared over Los Angeles, and all the anti-aircraft guns opened fire on it. The searchlights were fired into the sky, and there's an iconic picture that I think appeared in the Los Angeles Times, showing this object, whatever you call it, a Foo Fighter, a UFO, flying saucer, captured in the beams of the searchlight. And the military were firing at this thing for hours, trying to bring it down.
Despite taking dozens of direct hits, the craft seemed impervious to the barrage and slowly disappeared back over the Pacific Ocean. It was the most sensational and mass UFO encounter ever. But the U.S. Navy quickly announced that the so-called Battle of LA was a false alarm. UFO historians say the U.S. was receiving alien assistance with technology for developing the bomb, and the President of the United States was at the center of it. An unearthed top-secret memo dated February 24, 1944, written by President Franklin Roosevelt himself, stated that non-terrestrial know-how in atomic energy must be used in perfecting super weapons of war.
A state of war has existed between the United States and the Japanese Empire.
On August 6, 1945, the U.S. dropped the first atom bomb on the Japanese city of Hiroshima.
Some believe that it was the detonation in anger of atomic bombs that put planet Earth on the radar, so to speak, with extraterrestrials.
In the summer of 1947, shocking news accounts of a flying saucer crashing in Roswell, New Mexico, made headlines around the world. The golden age of UFO discovery was upon us. Welcome back to Presidents and UFOs, the surprising story.
Headline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army. Army officers say the missile, found sometime last week, has been inspected at Roswell, New Mexico, and sent to Wright Field, Ohio, for further inspection.
Few cases in the annals of UFO history have inspired as much speculation as the accounts of an alien spacecraft and actual bodies of extraterrestrials being salvaged near Roswell, New Mexico.
Allegedly, people have seen alien bodies, recovered pieces of the craft that have been reverse engineered.
A rancher in the desert near Roswell found strange wreckage strewn across his property. Military officials at the nearby Roswell Army Airfield intervened and retrieved the wreckage.
Flying saucer fever had swept the United States and indeed the world. In the first couple of weeks of July 1947, the US military caused to be issued a press release which said, "We have recovered one of these so-called flying discs at Roswell." Well, within 24 hours, the story had changed, and the US military said, "We've made a terrible mistake. It wasn't a flying disc at all. It was just a weather balloon."
I would run to the White House. I demand to see all the classified files on the UFOs. Because I want to know. I'd want to know what has been going on. Did you do that?
Sort of.
Sort of.
Yeah, we had, I think it was at the beginning of my second term, we had the anniversary of Roswell.
You waited that long?
I did.
Wow.
So I had all the Roswell papers reviewed, everything.
If you saw that there were aliens there, would you tell us?
Yeah.
You would?
I would. It makes it increasingly less likely that we're alone.
Oh, you're trying to give me a hint that there are aliens.
No, I'm trying to tell you I don't know.
Oh.
But if we were visited someday, I wouldn't be surprised.
That's what we're instructed to say.
But let's talk about Roswell for a second here. The anniversary is today, 75 years ago today. What was it? What do you think?
Right, well, so that's the trillion-dollar question, because the debris is not consistent with the explanation. All of the witnesses that have come forward over those 75 years, it's not consistent with the normal explanation that's being given by our government.
Efforts to shut down coverage of the Roswell incident were said to have come directly from President Truman himself. But why? Did he know too much or too little?
Did the Joint Chiefs of Staff talk to you or concern you about the unknown and the unidentified flying object?
Oh, yes, we discussed it at every conference that we had with the military, and they never were able to make me a concrete report on it.
Do you have anything on the subject, sir?
No, I haven't anything on the subject, and there's always things like that going on. Flying saucers, and they've had other things, you know.
President Truman never confirmed nor denied the existence of UFOs or flying saucers, yet quickly signed the National Security Act of 1947, the result of which was the creation of the Central Intelligence Agency, the CIA. The national security state was born. July 19, 1952, the unthinkable occurred. Our nation's capital was invaded from above.
This is David Brinkley in the radar room at Washington National Airport.
7 unexplained images suddenly appeared on radar at Washington National Airport, with air traffic controllers at both Andrews and Bolling Air Force bases confirming their presence. Was an alien attack underway in the most controlled airspace in the nation?
It was not an airplane, it was not a cloud, nobody knows what it was.
F-94 and Starfire jet interceptors were scrambled to engage the invaders, but moments before battle, they disappeared as suddenly as they had emerged. They were not gone for long, however. A week later, again, it was game on over Washington, D.C., as a formation of 4 glowing UFOs raided into D.C. airspace. The strange intruders disappeared from radar screens without conflict. The next day, rattled Air Force brass and other top government officials quickly cobbled together the largest military press conference since the end of World War II.
I am here to discuss the so-called flying saucers. We've been able to explain them as hoaxes, as erroneously identified friendly aircraft, as meteorological or electronic phenomena, or as light aberrations.
They dismissed the UFO aggressors as radar waves, bouncing off temperature inversions.
We've had several incidents that many felt were sufficient to justify some action by our government, and not the kind of flippant answer that was given by the Air Force where they passed it off. This mystery does require that the Congress take a good look at it.
The story that flying saucers from other worlds are visiting our planet. My name is Mike Wallace. Why will the United States government withhold information from United States citizens? For what reason?
The Air Force is simply treating the American people like children. They don't trust them with the facts.
February 20th, 1954, another UFO bombshell. While President Dwight Eisenhower was golfing at the Smoke Tree Ranch in Palm Springs, California, news bulletins of Eisenhower and a personal encounter with living aliens exploded. When the president failed to show up for a scheduled dinner and for hours was nowhere to be found, speculation for Eisenhower's absence went wild.
There is an extremely bizarre story doing the rounds about President Eisenhower and an actual meeting that allegedly took place between him and extraterrestrials, or in fact 2 meetings. The story goes that in 1954, he was playing some golf and then he kind of disappeared for a while. And no one was quite sure what was going on. Later, there was a story that said that he had chipped a tooth and that he had to have an emergency dental appointment. Some UFO researchers and enthusiasts say that this was a cover story. What really happened was that he was spirited away for a secret meeting with extraterrestrials.
I just feel like I was just born into this family to be the one willing to tackle it, willing to give it a voice, willing to kind of disseminate it. And I know it's really hard for people to wrap their heads around the fact that during Eisenhower's administration, there was all this contact going on. And it's gotten to the point where there's so much information about it that it really can't be denied.
Why would aliens want to talk to Eisenhower? That's assuming that they did. And again, like, to me, when you look at some of the hoaxes that we've seen over the course of history, that could potentially be one of the biggest of all time. Did the aliens actually meet and greet Eisenhower? For me personally, I don't believe that they did.
The extraterrestrials said to President Eisenhower, we see that you're engaged in a Cold War with the Soviet Union. We would like to offer you advanced technology, which will enable you to win that Cold War. In exchange, though, we are concerned about nuclear weapons, and we would like you to give them up. And the story goes that Eisenhower then refused and said, we can't give up our nuclear weapons.
My fellow citizens, that we shall send to the moon 240,000 miles away and then return it safely to Earth, and do all this and do it right and do it first before this decade is out, then we must be bold.
Eisenhower's successor would have to deal with secrets of UFO existence and a powerful deep state committed to keeping it all under wraps. UFO historians say newly elected President John F. Kennedy made a fateful mistake. Did a top-secret memo written on November 12, 1963, seal Kennedy's fate?
This document also goes on to talk about a program of cooperation with the Soviet Union in space. It essentially instructs the CIA to initiate a data-sharing program with the Soviet Union.
In the field of space, there is room for new cooperation.
The president allegedly ordered the CIA director to gather all government intel on UFOs for a full briefing. 10 days later, it would prove to be a moot point. In January of 1973, perhaps the strangest UFO incident of all occurred, involving President Richard Nixon and comedian Jackie Gleason. The popular star of The Honeymooners was known to be an avid UFO buff, even building a house to resemble an alien spaceship.
There's a really wild, far-out story about President Nixon and the comedian Jackie Gleason. Now, they knew each other, they played golf together.
After returning home from a golf outing, a mysterious black limousine arrived at Gleason's home. The window rolled down, and driving the limo was none other than President Richard M. Nixon.
They go off together to Homestead Air Force Base, and Gleason gets a tour from the president. And it's like, yeah, I want to show you something. Here's the wreckage of the crashed spaceships, and here are the little dead aliens.
Jackie Gleason's second wife actually was writing a book, and she is the only person that detailed that alleged sighting, where Gleason met President Nixon at the Air Force Base and was shown the bodies. And to my knowledge, Gleason went to his deathbed without ever talking about that incident.
UFO researchers believe Nixon's reckless actions caused government and military officials to clamp down on the sharing of UFO incidents with new incoming commanders-in-chief. The shroud of secrecy surrounding alien and UFO phenomena seemed to be tightening even further, until the most vocal of all presidents blew it wide open, Ronald Reagan.
Is not an alien force already among us?
I got this $1,000 camera for only $41 on DealDash.
DealDash.com. Online auctions since 2009. This PlayStation 5 sold for only 50 cents. This iPad Pro sold for less than $34. And this Nintendo Switch sold for less than $20.
I got this KitchenAid stand mixer for only $56.
I got this barbecue smoker for 26 bucks.
And shipping is always free.
Go to DealDash.com right now and see how much you can save.
This is the story of the one. The one knows the unexpected can put everything on the line. But with a teammate like Granger, she's confident that she will always win the day. Call, click, or just stop by. Granger, for the ones who get it done.
Meet Mike. Mike's been hearing a ton about CBD. Some people are telling him it's changed their life. Now, he's wondering if he should try it. He's lucky because he has friends he trusts who have found a really good CBD product they recommend.
Nothing is as great as this stuff. I mean, Harrelson's own CBD is like my secret weapon.
No matter how many things come at me, I'm like, boom, handled, next.
Give your life a boost.
We make every bottle of Harrelson's Own from 100% organic CBD, hand-harvested right from the farm. It's actually one of the fastest acting CBDs on the market today. So you start to feel it in seconds, not 60 minutes.
It hits my body really fast.
It takes literally under 2 minutes to work versus 60 minutes. Other brands that I've tried take forever. I don't have time for that.
You're going to feel the benefits quickly, love the way it feels, pay a fair price, and you're going to thank us for it.
I used to be the kind of person that would take ibuprofen several times a week. I carry a lot of tension in my neck and shoulders, but the first time I tried Harrelson's Own, my headache went away in 10 minutes.
And then all of a sudden I'm like, I've got this. I'm a boss woman.
In order to connect with my kids, I have to not want to lose my mind. That's where Harrelson's Own comes in for me.
I'm just in the zone all day, fully focused, fully energized.
I'm crushing it all day long.
I am much happier. My kids are definitely happier.
We know you are going to love Harrelson's Own, and your satisfaction is important to us. We are so confident you're going to be satisfied that we back every bottle with a 60-day, 100% money-back guarantee.
I absolutely love it. It has been a game changer for me.
And then whenever I come home, I've got plenty of energy to still go out with my friends.
Better nerves, better success. It is my secret weapon.
Give Harrelson's Own a try, from our family to yours. Go to HO.com to order Harrelson's Own now. Yep, it's that easy. Just our initials, HO.com.
Go2 Bank, banking app and debit card. Get paid up to 2 days early. Get your tax refund up to 5 days early. And no monthly fees with direct deposit. Open an account at go2bank.com.
I switched.
I switched. I switched.
I switched to Newsmax.
Newsmax. Newsmax.
Have you made the switch?
You bet I did. My whole family switched.
Millions are switching to Newsmax. You should too.
Welcome back to Presidents and UFOs. The surprising story.
One thing is clear. You could not keep a spaceship a secret. Too many journalists could not be restrained from trumpeting one of the greatest news stories of all time.
On September 19, 1974, California Governor Ronald Reagan and his security detail were flying to an event over Central California and were startled by the sudden appearance of a strange planet-like orb, glowing white and flying alongside them. Upon landing at their destination, the future president enthusiastically told a group of waiting reporters, "I just saw a UFO." The incident spurred a lifelong interest by Reagan in UFO phenomena.
Ronald Reagan, when he was president, he asked Steven Spielberg to come to the White House. And in the White House theater, they screened E.T. the Extraterrestrial. Near the end, Reagan had leaned over and said, "I bet you there aren't 6 people in this whole room know how true this whole thing is."
Both in discussions with the Soviet Premier, Mikhail Gorbachev, Reagan alluded to an alien presence. And Gorbachev says he was quite taken aback when Reagan said this.
We often forget how much unites all the members of humanity. Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bond. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world. And yet, I ask you, is not an alien force already among us?
Did President Ronald Reagan know the truth about extraterrestrials visiting Earth?
I'm not telling you nothing.
That's what we're instructed to say.
We've never approved one, but there are things flying around up there that we haven't fully identified yet.
Repeat after me. I, William Jefferson Clinton, do solemnly swear.
I, William Jefferson Clinton, do solemnly swear.
Lawrence S. Rockefeller, heir to the family fortune and staunch UFO enthusiast, pled with newly elected President Bill Clinton to make all government data on the Roswell incident available to the public. Clinton agreed, but Rockefeller's optimism did not last.
Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton, too, were very interested in UFOs. And it's no secret that Bill Clinton said that he made efforts to find out the truth about UFOs. And very recently, Bill Clinton went on a late-night talk show, said again, yeah, I tried to find out about UFOs, Area 51, I sent some people to see what we had there. And then he made a remark along the lines of, they don't tell us everything,
We made every attempt to find out everything about Roswell. And we also sent people to Area 51 to make sure there were no aliens in a deep, because Area 51 is very important.
Who do you send to Area 51?
Oh, if I told you that.
Disheartened, Rockefeller issued a solemn brief to world leaders, saying it is conceivable that even the president is not fully briefed on matters classified as above top secret. In 2007, Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid led a covert government investigation into UFOs, allocating millions of dollars to the program. The secret operation began during the George W. Bush administration and lasted through to Donald Trump's first year in office.
The U.S. Navy has finally acknowledged that videos appearing to show UFOs flying through the air are real. They don't call them UFOs, they call them unidentified aerial phenomena.
In 2017, UFO historians, researchers, and witnesses finally hit pay dirt. The New York Times expose, armed with the leaked Navy cockpit videos, forced the government into admitting Reid's secret program existed, and the recordings of UFOs were authentic. Now, the only question left was, did the world need protection against an all-out alien invasion? On May 17, 2022, Congress held the first public hearings in over 50 years on UFOs. Experts, government officials, and scientists testified on reports of what are now called UAPs, or unidentified aerial phenomenon. Although lawmakers from both parties claimed UFOs are a national security problem, when it came to any confirmation about UFOs from the Oval Office, mum's the word was still the order of the day.
Part of a grand conspiracy. I'm not aware of any plans the president has to make public any information about this, but
does he feel he's gotten to the bottom of it?
Well, I know that he has joked publicly before about one of the benefits of the presidency is having access to that information. I don't know whether or not he has availed himself of that opportunity.
UFOs? Any UFOs? Did you ask about that?
I've certainly asked about it.
And?
Can't tell you. Sorry.
Okay. All right, I'll take that as a yes. Because if there were none, you'd say there was none, right?
Feel free to think that.
I do.
We don't discuss that publicly for a range of reasons.
You gave an interview the other day in which you said you've been briefed on unidentified flying objects. Are they real?
Personally, I tend to doubt it. We have had people saying that they've seen things. I don't assume it's correct, but, I have an open mind, Tucker.
Do you think he knows more than he's letting on, or do you think, as some people say, even the president doesn't know?
My impression was that the president does know more than he said. Once in office, every president has become mum on the subject.
Is the human race ready to accept full disclosure of alien involvement on Earth and that we are not alone? Thank you for watching this presentation of Presidents and UFOs, the surprising story.